Hello everyone and welcome back to Crypto Live Leak. My name is Ken and it is our pleasure today to have Tezos enthusiast Jovan Smith here with us today. How's it going, Jovan? How you doing?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Doing great. And you know, our audience, big fans of Tezos. We have a huge Tezos audience, so I'm sure some of the people watching today recognize you and are very familiar with your work for Tezos, and we just want to thank you for everything you've done. So do you have any opening words?
No, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it, and I'm glad to be here. Let's talk some Tezos.
All right, excellent. Let's hop right into it. So first, we just want to touch on, there's been a developer within the community of Tezos named Steven Andrews. I believe he's out of Australia, and he's been extremely active. He's created such products as Tezbox and BakeChain, which are two fundamental platforms for Tezos. Now he's come out with a proposal to actually help speed up transactions per second on the network, and that's called Velos. Jovan, do you want to go into a little bit more about what Velos actually is?
Yeah, sure. So I'm not an expert on this at all. This is pretty high-level stuff. But Velos is, again, it's a high-speed, trustless transactions network. In a way, it's an off-chain solution that Steven Andrews has proposed for a high throughput that can basically rival Visa. I guess it's similar to Bitcoin's Lightning Network. It's an abstract blockchain technology, actually.
Yeah, I think it was a cross between Bitcoin's Lightning Network and some other feature from a different protocol. And I do remember seeing one of the main things that stuck out to me is that a lower level estimate of transactions per second is going to be around 10,000 if this gets implemented into the Tezos protocol. This
is correct. So so Tezos has stated, according to Steven Andrews, a theoretical throughput of approximately 30 transactions per second. Now that's pretty good compared to, let's say, Bitcoin or Ethereum on-chain transaction, right? With a confirmation time of a few minutes. These numbers are far below traditional payment processors, making Tezos a poor replacement candidate in its current state. And so this is what Velos offers in terms of capturing the payments. Everybody's going crazy over the high throughput payments. You know, is your blockchain running 10,000 transactions per second, or what the case may be? So a lot of folks find this valuable. I think that this is valuable moving forward, like in the future. However, I think that a lot more development on the dApp level and on the core level of the blockchain is going to attract a lot more immediate value. Well, in terms of now, today, maybe even a month from now.
Well, here's the thing: if you need all of these possibilities for transactions per second, you're going to need transactions to be placed. So what actually derives transactions are dApps and are platforms that are built on top of Tezos. So it's like, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? But definitely this is a step in the right direction. So competitors like EOS claim to have run, I think, about 3,000 to 4,000 transactions per second using their sidechain and RAM model, which RAM is their version of a gas cost. So that's interesting, but Velos would be a upgrade to the protocol that would be proposed, and you could attach an invoice to it. Steven Andrews would attach an invoice to it, and theoretically this would go to vote for within the Tezos community. All stakeholders or bakers would be able to place votes to approve that amendment to the protocol. And the great thing about Tezos is this wouldn't require a hard fork. There would be no new version of the token.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. No, this is all so that's what's great about Tezos is that on-chain governance. And we're going to use the on-chain governance mechanism to propose a solution for high throughput that actually happens off-chain.
Exactly. Imagine that. So these are the things that I think people are going to start thinking more of when they envision blockchain 3.0 for the next boom cycle in the market. And it's coins like Tezos, because of these features, that I think are just extremely well positioned to make that next wave forward, that next big jump forward for the industry as a whole. But enough on that. Let's get into delegation. So as we know, there is a percentage of delegation out there right now of total tokens that are in existence that are delegating towards the baking process. And do you want to touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, it looks like we're at about 81% of the total activated tokens are currently, either actively baking as delegates themselves or, constituents to delegates that are delegating to delegates on the network. And that's just simply amazing. When you look at the space, right? We've had proof of work, we've had these systems and stuff like that, and what Tezos has been able to do is been able to launch a blockchain and immediately capture a lot of participation through the gate. So out of all the activated tokens, if 81% of them are currently staking on the network, if you know anything about Tezos, they're snapshots, and so those tokens have to be there. They can't be sitting in an exchange necessarily, right? Up for sale. They have to, a lot of this has to be snapshotted and associated from a delegate point of view, from a constituent's point of view, to a baker itself. And then the bonds have to be frozen for the bakers themselves. And so what that says is that you see a ticker price of $1.34 over at Gatecoin or over at Gate.io for Tezos. And what you don't understand is that that's what 10 Tezos that can make the ticker price. You know, some guy sold 10 Tezos for, you know, $1.34, and so that's the new ticker price, especially in an environment where there are no any type of exchanges. There's your ticker price off of 10 Tez, right? When 81% of the total activated coins are actually staking in the network, that's no price discovery. That's huge, and I don't think people really understand, you know, how important that metric is to understanding where Tezos is going once it starts hitting these big exchanges.
Exactly. It basically shows the amount of confidence that the entire ecosystem and community has in the core product. They're willing to lock up their tokens or their coins. You know, 80% of the network is willing to do that without care for the initial price discovery, or, you know, we see a huge sell-off, it seems, from initial ICO investors putting the coins back to market, lowering the price, where there is a lot of manipulation happening because it is so illiquid due to the fact that everyone's trusting the network and participating in that baking process. So sort of a double-edged sword, but it shows you in the long run where we should be heading.
Yeah, we're talking about 297,253,186 total XTZs out of the total allocation of, I think it's what, 700 million and some change or something like that, are currently 81% of the 297 million are participating in delegation in Tezos right now.
Right, so what should be a high supply of tokens is actually reduced to a low supply that's more vulnerable to manipulation. Exactly.
Correct. This is very correct, and that's huge, man. And eventually that's gonna, you know, the rooster's gonna, you know, how's the saying go? Okay.
The chick will come home to roost.
Something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. Once all this knowledge catches up with folks, they're going to say, what? Dude, we got to get our hands on some Tezos. And then that's when you're going to start to see these kind of wild price increases to the upside. Because what this has done is actually stabilize the coin in a way. And, you know, I can make a better argument for that, but just for the purposes of this, we'll keep it short. However, yes, over time, the delegation will kind of stabilize the price, and this is what was argued in the white paper as well, kind of.
Excellent. That's a great point, and I'd love to touch further on it, but let's keep it moving here. So we want to touch on the difference between the Tezos Commons Foundation and the Tezos Foundation. So a lot of people may have heard both of those names thrown around in the news regarding Tezos, but do you want to just provide a little more clarification on what the actual difference of those are?
Yeah, sure. So the Tezos Commons Foundation was it was formed by a group of community members. 70 to 74 individuals voted on the board members that sit there. Those individuals were chosen based on, you know, their tireless you know, advocation for the Tezos protocol. They were known community members and trusted supporters, sincere supporters of the Tezos ecosystem. Mainly this was done through Riot. It was done in that fashion early on because of time. However, all of this will move to an on-chain governance type of mechanism if we need new elections and stuff for the TCF board members, where the TCF, in comparison, is the foundation that accepts the endowment during the ICO. And they work in tandem together, but they're completely separate. They're peers, all right? So what the Tezos Foundation does in Switzerland is it oversees the war chest, and it provides funds, yes, to the TCF, which is the Tezos Commons Foundation, right? And the Tezos Commons Foundation then supports community meetups like the ones you do, right?
Like the Tezos Boston meetup, exactly. Yep.
Exactly. And so, and another thing is with the Tezos Foundation, they'll be looking and improving a lot of the development side of grants. So if you're looking to build a DApp, or if you're looking to secure funding for a project on the technical side, you need devs, you need expertise, you need funding for this stuff. That will primarily come from the TCF or from the Tezos Foundation, and not the Tezos Commons Foundation. The Tezos Commons Foundation, its charter basically is to support more community elements of the Tezos ecosystem. So supporting, meetups, putting out shirts, documentation, supporting stuff like that. Whereas the Tezos Foundation oversees grants and approves grants to go to developers, versus the TCF that approves grants to go to Tezos meetups and community development stuff.
Exactly. So basically, if you are a company or a startup looking to develop a DApp on top of Tezos protocol, you would pitch your idea for the grant to Tezos Foundation. Now, if you are a activist like we are and you want to host a meetup in your local city, it's more of a grassroots effort. That's where Tezos Commons Foundation comes in, would sponsor a meetup event, say provide a budget for marketing, food, and drinks. So that's very good that you clarified that. And so just moving on with another subject that needs clarification based on some of the comments I'm seeing in the Tezos Reddit thread is based for the delegation reward setup. So everyone knows that a big feature of Tezos is baking and delegating. But what you may not know is there's a delay between when you delegate to when you actually do receive the rewards from that process. So when you delegate, you're going to delegate within a certain cycle. There is going to be a snapshot that occurs at random within that cycle that should begin your countdown for participating in the baking network. So after that, say you missed the snapshot, say you baked on the very last second in cycle number 1, you most likely missed that snapshot, so your ticker, your clock, wouldn't start until the next cycle, so cycle 2. From that point, you have to then wait 7 cycles until you have earned a reward, and now from that point, you have to wait an additional 5 cycles until that reward becomes unfrozen by the network and put into your KT account. So in total, you have to wait 12 cycles from the delegation point to the point of actually receiving those proceeds from the baking process.
Yep.
So I feel like that clarified a lot. Put it out there. But if you have anything else to say, go for it.
No. I mean, you hit it right on the nail. And you're looking at about a little over a month and a half, like somewhere to a month and a half after your first bake, before you receive rewards, along with the bond to be returned. Okay. I do want to say this on the mainnet, according to the white paper, a bond will be 512 XTZ for every block baked, and an endorsement will be 64 XTZ for every block endorsed, or every time you endorse a block. The reward for an endorsement on mainnet will be 15 to 16 XTZs, I believe, 2 XTZs per endorsement.
Per endorsement,
right?
Yep.
With a 64 XTZ bond per endorsement, and then 15 to 16 XTZs for every block baked, with 512 XTZs bonded for every block baked. So, but you'll get the bond back at this around the same. You'll get the bond back when you get the rewards back, and you can just re-up and cycle off again if that's what you choose to do. So all of that comes back. It just secures the network, right? So it increases your stake as you go along. So the more you bake, the more you have at stake. So that's how we solve the problem with proof of work, and that's how we secure the network and try to combat against malicious activity, because folks just have too much money at stake to try to double bake a block. It's just not worth it.
Exactly, and that's actually a debate that Ethereum's founder Vitalik Buterin is currently having himself within their community, and they seem to be going back and forth between multiple proposals where he and Vlad, one of his co-founders, have basically come up with different theories on how this should be done, with penalties and staking and what time frames they should be. So to think that Tezos already has a protocol out there running with these metrics in place, and its biggest competitor is still, on the drawing board with some of this stuff, it's just, and to think about the difference in market caps, to me that just screams opportunity. And I think a lot of people are starting to realize that. So on this next boom cycle, I'm really excited to see where projects like Tezos end up going. But lastly, we do have some breaking news here. This is a little insider information. We'll call it a live leak. a crypto live leak. All right, so why don't you go ahead and break that news, Jovan?
Yes, so everybody's been going crazy over an official wallet, if you will. This wallet is not official, but there is a wallet being developed right now. It should launch on the beta net within 2 to 3 weeks by the core dev team, not the Tezos Foundation, the core dev team. So that's Arthur and all his boys, okay? The guys who built Tezos, the Tezos blockchain, are developing a wallet called Cortez. Cortez, all right?
That's awesome.
And right now, it is being developed for Android, for Android with a focus on fluidity and security for private keys. So this is a core dev project. They're developing a wallet. It's running on the Zero Net right now. And within 2 to 3 weeks, they plan to launch it on the beta net. Cortez, core wallet for Tezos.
All right, guys, you heard it here first. Cortez coming out for Tezos, a wallet built by the core dev team. That's exciting news. All right, on that note, I think that wraps everything that we came here to do. Thanks for coming on the show, Jovan, and really appreciated having you here today. Hopefully you'll come back again, in the future.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thanks for having me. Have a good one.
All right. Until next time, take care.
Later.